of 9 million. The vaccination drive was extended until today because of what vaccine czar Carlito Galvez claims is the clamor of many local governments. No word yet on the total vaccines administered for the past 5 days. But overall, Galvez says at least 55.4 million people have received at least one dose as of December 1st. This translates to 71.84% of the country's target population. Of the 55 million, almost 37 million have been fully vaccinated. Malacanang is urging the public to get vaccinated.
Tandaan natin na importanteng magpabakuna sa gitna ng banta ng Omicron variant. Sa milyon-milyong nabakunahan na mga Pilipino, 99% plus ay walang naramdaman na adverse reaction o kung meron man, mild lamang po ito. Wala pong namatay na direktang may kaugnay sa COVID-19 vaccine jab. This Christmas, let us give our family and loved ones the gift of good health. Let us vaccinate, vaccinate, vaccinate.
The government is hoping for a bigger turnout in the second leg of the national vaccination days on December 15 to 17. The health department is appealing to local officials to accept vaccine doses that are nearing expiration as these are still effective. The department issued the reminder after over 14,000 AstraZeneca shots provided to Negros Occidental expired after some cities and municipalities refused to accept them. These areas apparently didn't want vaccines that were expiring soon, while some preferred other brands.
Gusto lang ho namin magpaalala, gusto lang ho namin makiusap sa ating mga local governments. Let us try to consider that these vaccines are very valuable. These are critical commodities at this time of the pandemic. Pag binigyan po namin kayo, hindi ho kami magbibigay sa inyo ng bakunang expired na. Ang binigay sa inyo, near expiring, which still can be used.
The DOH says the vaccines are now back in storage as it awaits advice from the manufacturer if the shelf life can be extended. The agency is further investigating the incident to see how these procedures can be improved. The government is tracing and monitoring over 250 travelers from South Africa amid the threat of the new COVID-19 variant of concern, Omicron. 249 Filipinos and 4 foreigners arrived from November 15 to 29, while the ban on South Africa and 6 other nations took effect on the 26th. The Bureau of Quarantine and Regional Surveillance Units have contacted 71 passengers so far.
No positive case was reported on retest, while the 3 foreign nationals from Region 6 tested negative on RT-PCR retest last December 1. The BOQ and the RESU has verified 71 cases, of which 68 are returning overseas Filipinos and 3 are foreign nationals from Region 6. 70 are all in facility quarantine, including the 3 verified foreign nationals. 1 returning overseas Filipino is in home quarantine.
Meantime, new testing and quarantine protocols are in place for international travelers from nations outside the red list. Fully vaccinated people are required to present negative RT-PCR test results conducted 72 hours before leaving the country of origin. They will undergo facility-based quarantine and another test on the 5th day after arrival in the country. Those unvaccinated or partially inoculated will be tested on the 7th day. All are required to quarantine at home until the 14th day, even if they test negative. Malacanang appealed for understanding amid the updated protocols.
Whatever changes or amendments adopted are prompted by a continuous assessment of prevailing conditions. When there are developments that merit the adoption of a more cautious approach to the entry of individuals from overseas, the IATF will recommend what is necessary to safeguard the health of our people.
International travelers who arrived before the updated protocols took effect will follow the rules in place when they entered the country. The World Health Organization believes the number of countries with a new variant is higher than currently reported It now warns nations in the Western Pacific region to begin bracing for another possible surge in cases. Carolyn Bongkin tells us more.
Even with travel restrictions, World Health Organization officials say the entry of the Omicron variant in the country is inevitable.
That the border control can reduce the risk of importations and can buy time. But it's not possible to completely stop the virus unless you completely close the border. So what is very important is to prepare and be ready for this next surge.
Omicron will eventually come to most of the countries in the region. And so therefore, what we need to do is we need to start preparing now, and we need to do that in a sustainable way.
By prepare, WHO officials mean inoculating those who remain unvaccinated and giving booster shots to those frequently exposed to the virus and have weak immune system.
We know that the unvaccinated are now driving transmission and they have the worst outcomes.
Hospitals must start reserving beds, with the government finding possible COVID cases and never letting one's guard down as many countries are facing yet another surge despite high vaccine coverage.
And after suppressing the Delta-driven outbreaks earlier in the year, both Singapore and the Republic of Korea have started seeing an increase in cases again over the past few weeks. These may include increased mobility and social mixing following the easing of travel restrictions and public health measures.
For now, WHO officials say Omicron is more transmissible than the other variants. They don't know yet if it's causing more severe illness, but reinfection is possible, they say. So far, current tests, vaccines, and treatments are perceived to be effective against Omicron. But if this new variant enters the country this month, Octa Research Group projects COVID cases going up to 5,000 again daily by late January.
It's a relatively pessimistic scenario. In terms of the timeline, I would say that it would happen around late January to February, when it starts to increase, when the number of cases start to increase. But again, these are just preliminary information. We may recalibrate.
The Health Department is rechecking samples of all returning Filipinos from 2 weeks ago to know whether or not any one of them is a carrier of the dreaded Omicron variant. Caroline Bongkin, CNN Philippines.
Overseas, more countries in Asia are reporting their first cases of the Omicron variant. Malaysia identified its first infection in a foreign student who arrived from South Africa on November 19th. That was before the nation reported the emergence of Omicron to the WHO. The student is fully vaccinated and asymptomatic. Singapore detected 2 imported cases who were preliminary positive for Omicron on Thursday. Both are fully vaccinated with mild symptoms. Officials say there is no evidence yet of community transmission. India also reported its first 2 Omicron infections. One was a South African national who has since returned to his home country, while the other case was a local doctor who had no travel history. South Korea, meanwhile, toughens measures to curb a surge in cases. Beginning Monday, gatherings are limited to 6 people in the Greater Seoul area and 8 for the rest of the country. Restaurants and cafes will only cater to vaccinated customers or require a negative test result. South Korea has 6 Omicron cases so far. Up ahead on Newsnight, we'll get updates on the Senate's latest hearing on the government's alleged anomalous deals with Pharmaly. And after Los Angeles, where is BTS headed to next? Details when we return. You're watching CNN Philippines.
Oh, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
My health through proper diet, exercise, and MX3 capsule, I am ready to serve. Kasi para sa Panginoon, hindi lang ako 4th runner-up. First place ako sa puso niya.
Mahalagang paalala, ang MX3 capsule ay hindi gamot at hindi dapat gamitin panggamot sa anumang uri ng sakit.
San Miguel Flavor Beer! Game! Ang magmahal sa kaaway, mas matamis ang buhay. Make life sweet with San Miguel Flavored Beer with the deliciously refreshing flavors of apple, lychee, and lemon with just the right beer buzz. Bili na sa sukong tindahan.
For my babies, only vet-approved Nutri-Chunks puppies. The only one with active boost and prebiotics na Pampalisto. Made with real meat with essential nutrients to help them grow strong and healthy. Happiness! Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks puppies.
Beer call muna tayo. Beer call muna tayo. Kahit kailan, walang iwanan. Beer call muna tayo. Beer call muna tayo.
Relaxing hot springs, crystal clear lakes, and majestic waterfalls. Laguna has them all. And thanks to its accessibility to the Skyway and South Luzon Expressway, it's become a popular weekend destination. Agritourism in the province has also caught the eye of travelers, the most popular of which is cacao farming.
Isa sa pinagmamalaki ng Nagkarlan, Laguna ang kakao kasi unang-una ang kakao dito sa Nagkarlan masarap. Ang mission ng Cacao Farmers Association of Nagkarlan is mapaunlad ang produksyon ng kakao dito sa buong bayan ng Nagkarlan at makilala hindi lamang sa Nagkarlan o kung saan pa man makarating ang produkto namin.
Laguna is home to many skilled craftsmen. Who knew that pandan leaves and rattan in the hands of a skilled craftsman could turn into these?
Isa ito sa pinagmamalaking produkto ng Louisiana kasi po dito lang sa Louisiana matatagpuan ang maraming pandan at siya ang pinagkunan ng kabuhayan ng mga taga rito sa Louisiana.
Yung mga taga-Mabita, katulad po namin, mga matsatsaga po kami sa handicraft. Kasi ito yung simulan ng mga taga-Laguna na hanggang ngayon ay tinataguyod pa rin namin.
Simula pa noon, ang Victoria ay kilala na sa isa sa mga sources ng itlog ng itik.
We are so thankful na kami dito sa Laguna naabot ng magandang daan.
Laguna shows that its agricultural prowess and craftsmanship are worth the quick drive.
Science for Communities is actually a document that relates the stories of the different marginalized communities.
We also believe that coming up with the book is very timely and relevant considering that we are all in the pandemic. The science, technology, and innovation can be an answer to their everyday problems and can uplift them from poverty.
Sa atong mga kababayan, magki-partner o makilahok sa Department of Science and Technology at makatabang sa pagbago sa patuloy na pag-uswag sa atong bayan.
Ano ba talaga ang tunay na astig? That's Red Horse for you. Iba ang sipa.
In Red Horse, we use a blend of malted barley and cereals. The key to brewing an extra strong beer is to convert the carbohydrates into fermentable sugars. And in Red Horse, we use a carefully selected yeast strain, one that is very robust.
This full-flavored lager is multi-awarded. Over the years, Red Horse has garnered awards for malt selection and the Australian International Beer Awards. Red Horse clearly is on fire. From video conferencing to virtual happy hours with family and friends, you'll get a kick out of the freshness and boldness of Red Horse.
Welcome back to CNN Philippines. New developments on investigations into the pandemic supply controversy. The Bureau of Internal Revenue is looking into dozens of taxpayers linked to the government's questionable deals. Let's get the lowdown from Amor Santos, who's monitoring the Senate's 16th hearing with the embattled supplier Pharmaly Pharmaceuticals. Amor, who are these taxpayers and what else has been unraveled today in the probe?
Well, Mai, like you said, just as the Senate resumed its investigation on the alleged anomalies involving controversial government supplier Pharmaly Pharmaceutical, the Bureau of Internal Revenue assured it is also doing its part. In a statement, the BIR says a tax audit is now being conducted against 76 taxpayers, including executives of Pharmaly Pharmaceutical. Citing the BIR probe, Pharmaly Director Lynn Conong appealed to the senators for mercy. He and fellow executive Mohit Dargani are detained at the Pasay City Jail for refusing to submit financial documents subpoenaed by the senators.
Napadalan talaga kami sa kulungan eh, ma'am. We are not criminals. Yung mga file na yan, I really don't know kung saan man sila. But since the chairman have a conclusion kanina, siguro filean nila na po na kami kaso kasi nagsasuffer po talaga kami sa kulungan. Hindi naman po kami kriminal.
Do not try to get awa. Wala kayong makukuha ang awa. Before we can be awa, kailangan may katarungan muna.
Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Richard Gordon says nothing stopping the chamber, which has now conducted 16 hearings despite attacks from President Rodrigo Duterte, no less. In his opening statement, Gordon fired back at the chief executive and even criticized his Senate bid.
Isang huwad na nagpapanggap na isang bayani at binola nyo ang tao at ngayon napapatunayan na kayo ay talagang kapatid na magnanakaw, sinungaling kayo. How dare you again ask for the vote of the Filipino people when you failed them?
During the hearing, tax expert Mon Abrea again discussed Pharmaly's lack of supporting documents for purchases amounting to 3.4 billion pesos. Gordon says this may be ghost deliveries and the money may have been pocketed. Abrea says this is a possibility due to the lack of documentation. Back to you.
Amor, there are Supreme Court petitions against the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee's inquiry as well as its arrest and detain orders against the personalities involved. Any update on this?
Well, Maya, despite those petitions, Pharmaly executives Mohit Dargani and Lynn Conong still attended the Senate hearing. They were escorted by Bureau of Jail personnel from the Pasay City Jail to the Senate. Now, Pharmaly's alleged financier, Chinese businessman, and former Duterte advisor Michael Yang also joined virtually. According to tax expert Mon Abrea, Michael Yang's declared income of over 1.5 million pesos from 2016 to 2020 does not match his total investments worth 52 million pesos. We're still waiting for Yang to respond to this during the Senate hearing night.
Thank you. That was Amor Santos reporting. A document shows presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos did not pay the tax penalties or the penalties in his tax case, which is now at the center of petitions to disqualify him from the 2022 presidential race. The Quezon City Regional Trial Court Branch 105 issued a certification stating there has been no compliance of payment or satisfaction from the RTC decision in 1995 or the Court of Appeals in 1997. Attorney Ted Te, the lawyer representing some petitioners against Marcos, says They will bring the matter to the Commission on Elections and the Office of the Quezon City Prosecutor. Tess says Marcos remains ineligible to run for public office because of the conviction. Meanwhile, officials of Marcos's Partido Federal ng Pilipinas are denying the party is in disarray. This is in response to Abubakar Mangelen, who introduced himself as party chairman and filed a petition at the COMELEC. Mangelen is seeking to cancel Marcos's nomination and acceptance certificate, or CONA, saying he was never a party member, and that the issuance of Marcos's CONA was unauthorized, unilateral, illegal, and improper. But a faction of the party, led by Secretary General Thompson Anchon, said in a statement that Mangelen was kicked out as chairman in September.
So doon yung CONA ang kine-question niya. Ang CONA, it is an internal affair of the party. Hindi naman pwedeng kukunin mo yung, pati-disqualify mo yung sa CONA. Sa partido yan eh.
Lanchon says they will respond to Mangelen's petition once they receive the official copy. A look now at what other presidential aspirants are up to. A sea of pink greeted Vice President Leni Robredo and her running mate Senator Kiko Pangilinan during their stationary caravan in the province of Iloilo. Iloilo City Mayor Jerry Treñas remarked he never saw such energy, love, and volunteerism in his entire political career. Robredo and Pangilinan will be in Iloilo for 2 days. Meanwhile, Senator Ping Lacson and running mate Senate President Tito Soto said the Interior Department should issue guidelines defining a political rally. The DILG has called on aspirants and supporters to refrain from holding such events as it is not yet campaign season and because of the Omicron variant threat. And Manila Mayor Isko Moreno says he would retire if he loses the 2022 presidential elections. But if he wins, the 47-year-old told his supporters in Bulacan that he would quit politics after his term.
Halimbawa, pinalad ako sa tulong ninyo, sa awa ng Diyos, o at the age of 52, di tapos na yung term ng presidente, no? Pahinga na. Magbabayad na ako ng kakulangan ko sa pamilya ko, sa mga anak ko.
What if, let's say, hindi ka pala rin?
Ay, tapos na ang buhay. Move on. Kasi,
no more run? Kahit
ano na yun?
sa Maynila?
Ano na ako. Tapos na ako. I did my share. That's why I offered myself to the people.
Still ahead on Newsnight, the BTS concerts in Los Angeles wrapped up today, but there's more to look forward to with the K-pop sensation announcing its next stop. Details when we return.
Oh, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
gov.ph para makapag-register sa PhilSys online.
Sa pamamagitan ng ID natin, ang bawat Pilipino ay meron ng valid proof of identity.
At mas mapapadali na ang ating mga public and private transactions. Kaya ano pang hinihintay nyo?
Ayaan na sina nanay, tatay at ang buong pamilya. At mag-register na.
Ito ang PhilSys, ID natin to.
Gumagaan ang inuman pag sandiglay. Hoy, musta?
Ako, stressed sa work kaya ini-imagine kong nasa beach ako. Ako, busy sa paglaba at pagluto kaya ini-imagine ko nag-i-eat all you can tayo.
Ako, ini-imagine ko yung bar dati. Laging masaya. Kasi miss ko na kayo. Buti na lang, may sandiglay dito sa tindahan. Pagtapos ng mabigat na araw, mag-inuman with friends and sandiglay. 100 calories lang, magaan sa tiyan. Ulitin natin to. Ang alin? Mag-imagine? Hindi, mag-inuman.
Napakahalaga ng savings kasi pag dumating ang pagkakataon
na ikaw ay nasa kibit kalagayan, di ba, ma-hospital ka, o magkasakit ka ng dito lang sa bahay, kailangan ng pera. Meron kang ipon, anytime, pwede ka makapag-withdraw. Matatagpuan yung tindahan ko malapit dito sa Cebuana. Dito po ako naguhulog araw-araw. Kasi gusto ko nga po makaipon para sa aking mga anak, para sa sarili ko. So darating na araw ng buhay ko. Kaya sinikap po talagang mag-ipon.
Ako po ay may sariling bike, may sidecar. Dadalhin ko po yun sa palengke, tapos doon po, may marami na po akong suki doon na ibinibigay nila yung karton nila sa akin. At yun po, yung mga binibenta ko. Hindi naman alam ng mga anak ko na may nakatabi akong pera. Yun po yung inunti-unti namin na ginamit pang araw-araw na pagkain namin nung talagang pandemic.
Stay in ako dito bilang isang sales clerk sa auto supply shop. Basta pag sasahod ako, dadaling ko doon sa Cebuana, iniipon ko yon. Mas maganda pag nandoon yung pera mo, hindi mo basta-basta magastos, tapos syempre nakokontrol mo siya. Hindi tulad pag hawak-hawak mo lang. Sa hirap ng buhay, kailangan mong kumayod at kailangan mag-ipon.
Siyempre kailangan mo pa rin tumayo kung paano mong pagkakasyahin, kung ano yung nandiyan. Pero hindi naman ang hirap kasi meron ka nakatabi.
Tandaan ako, gusto ko makapag-ipon ng pera para sa darating ng araw ng buhay ko at para sa aking mga anak. Talagang dapat magsikap. Magsikap. Hindi ka naman magsisisi kung makaipon ka eh.
This program is brought to you by
6 na taong serbisyong may tatak ng tapang at malasakit. Inuuna ang ating kaligtasan, seguridad, kapayapaan at kapakanan ng mga nangangailangan. Matatag, may paninindigan at tapat sa bayan. Ibinuhos ang lahat para sa Pilipino, para sa maliwanag na kinabukasan at tungo sa pag-angat ng bawat mamamayan. Ito ang Duterte Legacy.
Sa pagbangon ng mga Pilipino, saludo ako sa mga taong patuloy na humaharap sa hamon ng pagbabago.
Bilang isang ina, handa akong gawin ang lahat para sa kaligtasan ng aking mga anak.
Banding naman, tuloy pa rin ang serbisyo para malinis ang kapaligiran.
Serbisyong publiko para sa kaligtasan ng lahat.
Sa panahon ng krisis, ikaw, ako, magtulungan tayo. Saludo ako sa Pilipino.
bawat patak. May sarap, may lakas, sulit. Red Horse Beer. Ito ang tama!
Welcome back. BTS is giving fans a chance to see them live yet again, this time returning to their home base. The K-pop group announced Seoul as the next stop for its Permission to Dance on-stage concerts set for March 2022. The announcement came after BTS wrapped up the last of its shows in Los Angeles today. The group ended the 4-day event with a surprise guest. Coldplay's Chris Martin joined BTS for a performance of their chart-topping song, My Universe. And before we go, an early Christmas treat for the ears. The Philippine Philharmonic Orchestra is serenading audiences for a live outdoor concert at the Manila Central Post Office. The show also features the Nightingales and young soprano Alexa Kaufman. The Christmas special is part of the Cultural Center of the Philippines' outreach program to bring the arts closer to the people. You can also watch the show online through the CPP office of the President's Facebook page. We have 22 days before Christmas. That's it for now. Join me again on News.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Maya Rodriguez for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya sa bawat